Om Shanti. Pita Shree PrajaPita Brahma Baba's Life History, Part 44. Title: World Renewal. Baba's new children were hungry for this spiritual knowledge in written form. They wanted books on the method of Raj Yoga, explanations of how science had been led astray by the false belief in geological uniformitarianism, linear time, and brain-based psychology. Works of ethics were needed, along with instructional texts on overcoming bad habits. Baba's gift of a new intellectual paradigm contained the answers to every question. It was simply a matter of drawing out the implications. Baba suggested we publish a monthly magazine. It was called Trimurti, referring to the fact that the one Supreme Being was the creator of the Hindu trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar. Later on, a second magazine, World Renewal, began publication. Printed in several languages, including English, it was distributed throughout the globe. The following article, written by an environmentalist, is typical of its contents. Planetary transformation through personal transformation. The spiritual causes of the environmental crisis. The environmental crisis is no longer imminent. In fact, it has already occurred. Little effort need be spent in convincing prospective people of this fact. We have polluted our lakes and rivers to the point of suffocation, poisoning our own water supplies. We have destroyed our wetland habitats, stripped our forests and spoiled our fertile soils, thereby adulterating our sources of food. We have poisoned the atmosphere with automobile exhaust and industrial pollutants, blackening our lungs and clouding our brains with noxious fumes. We have robbed ourselves of the beauty of the world. Why? Why, with all our technological sophistication, have we been unable to create even a minimally healthy, peaceful world? Why has happiness and prosperity eluded us? Why has our garden world become a jungle of thorns, squeezing the joy out of existence at the very moment when we should be able to rejoice? We have misunderstood the eternal relationship which we have to nature and to God. In our pride of scientific achievement, we have forgotten that there are laws upon which this universe is run, laws which are transgressed only at our peril. We have broken those laws, and now the threat has arrived. One of the primary laws of cosmic change may be stated in this way. The outward condition of the world reflects the inward condition of the souls who reside within it. In other words, as long as souls remain pure and unpolluted, free of any negativity, so nature will remain unpolluted. As long as we are caring, nature will be caring. As long as we are the masters of ourselves, we are the masters of the world we live in. In our endeavor to explore and exploit our physical surroundings, we have, however, lost the knowledge of who and what we are. So, in the headlong rush for material gain, self-mastery has been utterly lost, and our problems have slowly, unavoidably mounted to such an extent that now they nearly crush us. Yet, if we examine any of our social or environmental problems, there is not a single one which we could not solve if we so desired. The significance of this observation is deep and requires thorough understanding. For example, if the heads of our major industries installed appropriate safeguards and redesigned their factories, there would be an enormous drop in the levels of pollution. But they are obsessed with taking short-term profits, even at the expense of long-term survival. Car manufacturers could choose to design cars which are safe as well as economical, but blinched by greed and the arrogance of monopolistic control. They choose otherwise. failing to see that their actions lead to a dead end in which they cannot turn around. These examples could of course be multiplied, but the underlying question would then be buried under a mass of data. Inquiry must be directed to the root cause. Why is man greedy? Why do human beings behave against their own best interests? And even more crucial, is greed an inherent quality in the human soul? This last is most important because if our conceptual framework does not allow for the possibility of overcoming greed once and for all, then the human situation is truly hopeless. Many do in fact maintain that this negative trait is a part of the human psyche which cannot be eradicated, and a casual look at history would even seem to confirm their pessimistic outlook. Deeper study, however, will reveal otherwise, uncovering the true nature of the self and simultaneously presenting us with the key to regaining our lost paradise. Over 100 years ago, Henry David Thoreau noted the link between the mental environment and the physical environment. He escaped the pollution of both in his retreat to Walden Pond. He noted then what is far more drastically true today. The mass of men led lives of quiet desperation. Man's desperation arises from what is perceived as a human situation. We are normal, it is thought, we shall die. We live in an uncaring universe of chance. With such a worldview, it's little wonder that human beings have opted to get the most out of life through material acquisition and sensual pleasure. The fear of death is fertile soil in which the poison plant of greed may thrive. And when greed is not satisfied, anger arises. The ultimate thing we hunger for is love. But since we have taken ourselves for material beings, we have mistaken sex for love, thus exploiting each other and devaluing ourselves further. In this desperate condition, we have despoiled our home, the earth. Yet, this whole chain of events was based upon a simple mistake. We are not mortal, after all. We are souls, non-material units of consciousness, and our bodies are simply temporary earthenware costumes. We knew this one as fact, a result of experience. We wore a crown of light, but as we proceeded through the play of time, adopting one clay puppet after another, we lost our right understanding. We became attracted physically to other bodies. The puppet hypnotized the puppeteer. In short, our minds became polluted with body consciousness. Since attraction produces repulsion, our unity and our harmony turned into fragmentation and conflict. As we grew apart, psychologically the earth we walked on broke apart. The continents afloat on their tectonic plates split away from the central mass of India, to which they were once all attached. The various cultures sprang up along with the various religions of the world, and though each group made peace its yearning and love its theory of human relations, the practice of each was prejudice and pride. Yet each of the world's religions served to hold the advancing negativity in check. So, as long as there was at least a concept of God and a belief in God and retribution, the intellect was motivated to make an effort in the right direction. Once God was discarded and truth defamed, once relativism was installed in place of universal ethics and perfection sacrificed as a personal ideal, the human family was hopelessly broken into shards of selfishness. There were cycles within the large movement, lights which occasionally sprang up within the surrounding darkness, but the dismal downhill trend could not be reversed. We fell through the trapdoor of history with a fall from soul consciousness, and now we have reached rock bottom. Two choices lie before us. Either we clean up our act and become pure once more, or we drown in a massive whirlpool of destruction. It is easy to talk about purification. Accomplishing it is another story. All of us recognize greed as an evil, but how many of us are willing to make the effort of rooting it out of our psyche? We recognize lust as an even more primary evil. All of us recognize greed as an evil, but how many of us are willing to make the effort of rooting it out of our psyche? We recognize lust as an even more primary evil. We know it is a vicious force behind rape, is responsible for overpopulation, brings sexually transmitted disease in its wake, causes harassment of women in their jobs, contributes heavily to divorce in the cause of women using dangerous contraceptive drugs and having abortions, causes many kinds of psychological and emotional disturbance, brings out the degradation of literature, art, and of culture as a whole, and diverts our mind from more elevated thoughts in general. Yet, knowing all this, how many are even willing to seriously consider making an effort to conquer sex lust? In the same way, greed defaces the planet, yet how many are prepared to make the kind of radical transformation necessary to end this crippling psychological disease, thus bring to an end of the environmental crisis? How many souls are willing to transcend the body ego in order to act for their true welfare, to save the earth for their own future lives? Fortunately, it does not take many. A small number of souls who are truly committed to perfection, who act with a deep understanding of the laws of change, can affect the entire universe, especially when the Supreme Soul himself wishes this change to take place for the sake of his unhappy children. Fortunately, it does not take many. Paradise is being built again. Even in this darkest hour, secret forces are at work. Powerful souls, including the most powerful of all, are channeling the energy of purity into the material world. Through Raja Yoga or union with the Supreme, each one of us can also become such a channel of spiritual light, love, purity and might. When we have reached the peak of our own long-latent powers, and when the forces of good and evil have fully polarized, as they soon will, then the long-awaited transformation will arrive. By changing our own mental environment, we will change the face of the earth itself. The axis of the planet will straighten from its angle off to the truly vertical. The continents will come together once more. There will be no more seasonal variation, but springtime all year long. The replenished earth will give birth to a new society, technologically advanced, yet also completely divinely virtuous, a paradise of endless happiness. Such is the world of the ancient past, and the world of the very near future. The cycle of time has come full swing, and we have arrived at the end, which is the new beginning. The creator of the new world has descended from the world of silence to bring us home, to teach us how to live, to solve the crisis of the world's environment, to offer us the opportunity to take rebirth in a paradise beyond our happiest dreams. This is not a dream, but revealed reality. It is our birthright as children of the perfect Father. All we need to do is become like Him once more. This is Raja Yoga. This is a pure path to world transformation. Om Shanti.